This is Bobby C with your look at sports this morning. Outside the world's most famous arena, we will start with the top 3 trending sports headlines. First time ever, the Indianapolis 500 will be moved from the month of May to August 23rd. Major League Baseball, too, should have been back to business, but Commissioner Rob Manfred is hoping that baseball will be part of the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, Karl Anthony Towns, NBA All-Star, both of his parents in the hospital. We send our well wishes to him. On to some better news. We will continue with our series here. Here's my top 10 Knickerbockers of all time. We continue our series here on Open. This time around, my ranking of the top 10 Knicks of all time. The Orange and Blue have retired 8 players and 1 coach's number. That's probably a good place to start. Maybe Brooklyn Nets star Kevin Durant doesn't think the Knicks are cool, but he should look up their history. The players on this list have helped the franchise win 8 conference titles and 2 NBA rings, while amassing more than 50 All-Star appearances. Coming in at number 10, Carmelo Anthony. Before he had even played a game with the Knicks, Anthony was already dubbed the King of New York. The former Syracuse star also wanted to play for the Knicks. Melo forced his way to New York, coming over in a memorable trade from Denver. In March of 2017, Anthony became only the 3rd player to score 10,000 points for 2 franchises, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Elvin Hayes. Melo won a scoring title in the Big Apple, consistently scored 20-plus, and despite never winning a championship here, likely deserves a spot in the rafters, too. Same deal for our next baller, feuds with James Dolan aside. At number 9, Charles Oakley. Oakley wasn't much of a scorer, but still made solid contributions. He was one of the toughest enforcers in the NBA and was the perfect complement to Patrick Ewing. More on him later. Oakley's best attributes were his defense and rebounding. During his 10 seasons with the Knicks, he averaged a double-double with 10.4 points per game and 10 rebounds per game, and they made the playoffs every year. And at number 8, Allen Houston. Houston was one of the best Knicks of all time, but would have been higher on this list if not for injuries. When Houston became a free agent in 1996, the Knicks signed him to a massive 6-year, $100 million contract. He led the Knicks in scoring for 4 straight seasons. He played in many memorable playoff games, including Game 5 of the 1999 playoffs versus the Miami Heat, when he hit a runner at the buzzer to win the game. At number 7, Harry Gallatin. Yeah, you might not know the name, but you should. He is by far the oldest Knick on this list. In fact, he was the first draft choice the Knicks franchise ever made. Even though he was an extremely undersized center at only 6'6", Gallatin was still one of the best rebounders in the league. During the 1953-54 season, he led the entire league in rebounding. Gallatin was best known for his toughness. During his 9 years as a Knick, Gallatin played in 610 consecutive games and 57 postseason games. The 6th greatest Knick on my all-time list of the top 10 Knickerbockers ever is Earl the Pearl Monroe. The Pearl joined Walt Frazier to form one of the best backcourts in NBA history. Monroe played in 57 postseason games during his 9 seasons as a member of the Knicks, including their 1973 championship run, the franchise's last title. The 2-time All-Star had a career average of 16.2 points per game in New York. At number 5, the Hammer, Dave DeBusschere. DeBusschere made major contributions during the Knicks' 2 title wins in the 70s. He was a ferocious rebounder and a tenacious defender. He was a 6-time All-Defensive Team selection. And during the 6 seasons DeBusschere was on the Knicks, they never once failed to reach the playoffs. In my 4th spot, Bernard King. Check him out on YouTube, kids. King is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and played in his prime with the Knicks. During the 1984-85 season, King led the league in scoring with 32.9 points per game. While he was on the Knicks, King became the first player in over 20 years to score 50 points in back-to-back games. And now for the holy trinity of Knicks. Willis Reed grabs the 3rd spot. Reed is responsible for the single greatest moment in Knicks history. Every Knicks fan remembers, or at least has heard about it, when Reed hobbled onto the court before Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals to inspire his team to victory when everybody thought he was too injured to play. Reed is the only Finals MVP in Knicks history, winning the award during both of the Knicks' Finals victories in 1970 and 1973. The captain easily could be 1, 2, or 3 on this list, but the second spot, at least according to my rankings, belongs to Walt Clyde Frazier. Frazier has to be the best guard in Knicks history and leads the Knicks all-time in assists. The playmaker epitomized the New York style in his off-court clothing and personality. He was also flashy on it. Frazier ran the point guard position for the Knicks during both their finals wins. He was named to the All-NBA team 6 times and the All-Defensive team 7 times. Today, he's one heck of a broadcaster for the club, but for the purposes of this list, he's an all-time Knick, maybe the best ever. Unless you agree with me about this guy, the big fella, at number 1. Even though he was never able to lead the Knicks to a championship, Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick of all time. He leads the franchise in almost every statistical category. If Knicks statistics aren't enough to make Ewing number 1, he is also 12th all-time in defensive rebounds and 8th all-time in blocks in NBA history. The 11-time All-Star led the Knicks to the playoffs 13 times and was selected to the All-NBA team 7 times, as well as the All-Defensive team 3 times. Patrick Ewing tops my list. So, what do you think? Would you keep the rankings the same? Change it? Did I miss anyone? Share your thoughts with me on my socials at The Voice, Bobby C.